I actually have notes today.
Sweetie came prepared to class.
Yeah. All right. Do your thing.
Hello, bedheads. Welcome to Outlandish Outlander, episode 305. That means for season 3, episode 5. Count them 5. The new thing in television is all about the crossover events. And they forgot to realize that David Boreanaz and then the Deschanel whatever are both they're working on other things now. So the Bones crossover just really they screwed up.
That was totally a Bones crossover.
That was really an absolute and total huge miscalculation.
Bones would have torn her to pieces when she just said, "Oh, I just had a feeling that she got murdered." I mean, you know how Bones would tear into her about that the way she tears into her interns that she thinks haven't examined the evidence enough. I feel bad that people are kind of hating on Sophie Skelton and her performance. I mean, I also myself have not entirely been taken in by it, but I don't know if part of it is the dialogue and part of it is Bree in the book. It's kind of hard to get to know and like. She had meteor parts tonight, and several times I did think she really nailed it. She certainly made me cry, and especially I think my favorite scene between the two of them. Well, there was a few favorite scenes between her and Claire. The scene where she says, when you see my dad, like, give him this kiss, she demonstrates the kiss. That's straight from the book, and I loved that part. It's a much smaller sacrifice for Bree to make if she thinks that her mom might just come back, like go tell Jamie, hang out with him for a while and come back or something. But I really liked the way they made it clear that, that was the other scene I liked. What really decides Claire is not so much Bree saying, yeah, I'm grown up, yeah, I can take care of myself, as when she says, go tell my father about me. Because I think Claire needs something about her decision to not be about herself. Like, if she's just going for herself, she seems selfish, and maybe selfish in the same way that Sandy at the party said that she was selfish. But if the idea is she needs to go back because it will make Jamie so happy to hear about his daughter, I think that's what finally decides her. In the book, I think it's much more clear that the decision being made is for a final goodbye, and I think they want you to not quite think that she's willing to tell her kid goodbye forever.
Well, and I only really understanding the somewhere in time travel and DeLorean time travel logic don't understand. Why can't she bounce you out in time?
They don't really go into this as much in the show, but in the book, it's very clear that traveling through the stones is sort of a horrifying experience. When she went through the stones, I really liked the way they did that. The quote about the puddle is straight from the book. It's in the prologue of the book. Maybe that's meant to be some kind of prefiguring that she will travel through time in the future, that she looks at puddles and imagines falling into them and going down, down, down. And Tony Graphia in the after show talked about just that it was literally partly one of those creative decisions that comes from limitation. But what she didn't say, but I'm sure she was thinking of, is it really reminded me in the first season, the first time that Claire goes through the stones, again, they didn't want to be all like magic-y and show it happen. They had this voiceover and this idea that she was in a car wreck one time And she talks about the disorienting feeling of being in the car wreck, and that's the only way she can think of to describe what it felt like to go through the stones. And so to have her describing in a voiceover again this feeling about puddles instead of showing her go through the stones, that seemed like a really interesting callback to me. And then when she steps out and they use that as the transition for her stepping out of the cab, but then when she steps again, it's cobblestones and she steps out of a carriage. That really reminded me of the transition they did in season 2, where she is getting off the plane, but then they transition to the fact that she's getting off a boat in France.
The important real question is, if a gentleman lays his overcoat over a time portal,
what happens then?
Well, we of course have to talk about the complete epic fail at giving Adam West work. Adam West.
He died.
Still.
Well, maybe he didn't die before they were filming it.
Outlander people, no Adam West love. This is really, really sad.
I thought as a world-building reference, the Batman reference was kind of cute, and also Dark Shadows. The neighborhood kids used to put on Dark Shadows after school, and I was way too scared to watch it. I wouldn't watch it with them. So that was perfect world-building.
Wasn't Johnny Depp too young back then?
Yeah. But, no, I thought that was kind of a cute reference. It was entirely unlike the book. But when they put on the Batman music, I thought that was a little too cutesy for Outlander. That didn't work for me.
Do you mean when they put on
the Batman music?
How's the Batman music go, sweetie?
Batman. No.
You see, it worked. I was trying to trick her into actually doing that.
I can't sing. Yeah. That was a little too much, I thought. I mean, I've liked their use of music, especially the Bob Dylan cover that they used last week. I've been listening to it constantly this week. I got it on iTunes. Really, even though, I think it was nice that they threw out that reference, oh, I made all your Halloween costumes and pageant costumes. I think they did that for a couple reasons. First of all, to establish that maybe Claire can use a sewing machine, because that actually seems so unlike Claire's personality to me. But I think maybe they were also trying to make it seem like Claire was a little bit better of a mom and more present than they've been showing in the last couple episodes, that she was all caught up in her work. So it's like, oh yeah, well, I was all caught up being a doctor, but I did make all your pageant costumes and sewing was more of a thing back then. That is entirely unlike the book. And in the book, she goes to a store. I think she's actually already over in Scotland, and all 3 of them are in Scotland. She tries to find something as close as possible that looks like it was from the 18th century. But one of the scenes that they had to leave out by doing that, by leaving Breanna in Boston, is actually, spoiler alert for the books.
Cover your eyes and your ears.
In the book.
Do it now.
In the book, she does go to the Stones alone, but Breanna is in Scotland. And in the book, Breanna shows up at the Stones in an outfit that she has purchased for herself, but with much less care and authenticity as Claire's outfit. But shows up saying, like, I'm just showing up because if you chicken out and you don't go through, I'm going to try to go through and meet my dad myself. If you won't go, I'm going to go. So I think she shows up to sort of like make sure Claire goes through with it. And I think that's a great like character building moment and sort of character development moment for Bree, that by doing it this way, you sort of miss that. But I liked that they stayed with Bree and Roger for a few moments after Claire was gone, because that was some nice moments between them. And I loved the way that he gave her the Christmas Carol book, and then she starts reading to him, picking up how Claire said that they used to read it to her. So she's already sort of like starting her own little tradition. And she takes that little moment of resolve in the kitchen where she gets herself together and puts the hat on and is like, okay, like, I can do this thing. I'm strong like my mom. And that to me was actually one of the best sort of little moments with her. I thought that was a nice moment, and that Sophie did a good job in that scene. Comments?
I like her. I think she did a good job.
So when she actually went into the print shop, people on Twitter went nuts, you know, because, and I bet that the writers and the different people on Outlander have been kind of smirking to themselves all week because they could see that everybody was just bracing themselves for the fact that they weren't going to see anything about her getting inside the print shop this week, just her getting to it and not opening the door. So when she actually went in the print shop, and then but the whole time, like, I had to watch it again immediately. I went back and I watched the last 10 minutes because I was too busy. I was too distracted the first time by thinking every moment it was going to be the credits. Her door's on the door, her hand's on the door. It's going to be the credits. She walks into the thing. It's going to be the credits now. She hears his voice. It's going to be the credits now. She sees the back of his head. It's going to be the credits now.
This is what happens to her. Really, it does.
Well, it's just like, I kept thinking, like, this is where they're going to end it. This is where they're going to end it. This is where they're going to end it.
This never happens to her in real life, but watching this on
You were sound asleep.
It does it.
So once I knew that they weren't going to cut till Jamie faints, which is straight from the book, then I wanted to watch it again, to watch it fully without just any moment thinking that I was going to have, like, you know, watch us interrupt us.
Have we ever had watch us interrupt us?
Well, almost anything at that moment would have just had the, you know, I'm sure all the book readers. Is it
as traumatic as the other kind of interrupt us?
In this particular moment, maybe, yes. Every book reader was hanging on every moment then, wondering when they were going to cut that scene. Should we just do a call out that the credits should have a special credit for the olive refrigerator?
Sweetie, can you tell me more about the olive refrigerator? I was just dying to know so much more about the olive refrigerator.